Okay, good afternoon all. Good afternoon, everyone. Right, so welcome back to lecture number 2 or session number 2. Okay, and we will run through chapter 3 and of course chapter 4 today. Tomorrow there's another lesson from 9 to 5. I guess we can try to cover everything earlier and try to end the lesson earlier so that you do not have one full day, lack of fun, right? So yeah, so that's what I intend to do. Okay, so today we will, our lessons from 2 to 6, preferably I'll try to end by 5:30. Okay, that's the plan. Okay, of course not to rush through everything, but we will definitely try to cover the stuff. Okay, so a very good afternoon to all of you again. I don't think everyone is in, but we shall not wait for the rest. Okay, so today's lesson is about I/O. Okay, the first two lessons we had quite some time ago, which is on 7th of May. That was introduction to Python, and then we did the variables, the types, okay, and strings. Okay, so today we're looking at I/O, how to receive input from the user, how to print to the screen, how to save to the file. So printing to the screen is pretty straightforward. Okay, so of course we were looking at how to save the file. So I am going to deviate slightly from the slides, okay, to introduce you a slightly easier way to actually open the file. Okay, I'm going to deviate slightly from the slide. Okay, so if you don't mind, if you mind, you let me know. If you say you want to follow strictly to the slides, I will follow strictly to the slides. But if I give you a better way, shorter way, yeah, I think most of you shouldn't complain, right? Okay. Anyway, let's take a look. Okay, so let's move. Okay, so what's a computer program? Okay, so that's what we talked about last time. is a sequence of operations code for the computer to execute. So you are commanding the computer on how to process, okay, certain things. So what do those operations do or commands do? They actually manipulate data, so, right? So normally you're taking some data, okay, perform some operations on the data, and then try to output the data. So the input they're taking could either be from the user input, it could be from your files, it could be from a database, it could be from emails, those are actually all inputs, right? It could even be sound, okay, or images. That's basically input. And then your program will then try to process the information, massage the data, try to beautify the data, try to make sense of the data to become information, and then output the information. Okay. And this output can come in the form of just printing to the screen, just saving to a file, sending out another email, and stuff like that. Okay, so if we think about I/O as a set of mathematical functions, okay, we know that if let's say if our x equals to 3y, let's say for example like that, right? So to find x, if we know the value of y, okay, we will be able to find x, right? So if we say y is 5, then x will be 15. So similarly, if we use y in terms of x, let's say y equals to 2x plus 3. Okay, if I say that x is 2, then it will be 2 times 2 plus 3, which is 7. Okay, so if you think of it, it's just trying to map from one to another, right? From one input to another. Okay. Okay, so if you look at computers today, your input will come in the form of keyboard, files, sensors, commands, and your output will be a screen, your files, your printers, your actions, sound, images, okay, database, and those are actually your output. Okay, for us, of course, regardless of what type of input that comes in, we will know that it will come in as a form of data, and the thing that we will output will be either information, if you want to see it, or processed data. Right. So first of all, we will take a look at. Okay, we'll take a look at screen output. Okay, so printing, pretty straightforward. Okay, so you can print with. Give me a moment now. I see what did I teach you all last time first. Print quotes, prints. Okay, I haven't printed anything for you. Okay, I haven't done anything. Oh yeah, I did something. Okay, let's continue from here. Okay, so the most basic output, of course, is to do printing. Okay, so a very simple print like this. Hello world will give you hello world, of course. Okay, you can assign variables to your. You can assign variables. Like for example, lecturers equals 1, students equals 30. These are actually all variables that we have discussed the last time. So place is a variable that contains the value of room. Okay, and when we type, there are comma, students plus lecturers. This one will compute first. Students plus lecturers will compute 1 plus 30. Okay, and then the slash here is to indicate that you move to the next line. Okay, slash here is to indicate that we move to the next line. People in this place is room. Okay, now so your commas will concatenate them. Okay, your commas will concatenate them. Okay, and of course there is a better way of doing that. Okay, so let's try to go back to let's try to start off with our PyCharm Okay, very quickly to recap on this printing that we have encountered. Okay, so I'm going to run through three types of printing. Okay, three types of printing. The third one I've shown you before. Okay, right. So I'm going to go back, go to here. Okay, so today is chapter 3. So we're going to do printing. Okay, so we're going to do printing. So I'm just going to do exactly what they have. Like for example, lecturers equals to 1, students equals to 30, and then the place, I'll give it in a different name, lecture hall 10, okay, something like this, okay? All right, so the first way of printing, of course, using commas to concatenate the strings, okay? And what we did was, based on what you see, there are, okay, you shouldn't leave a space because commas will automatically give you a space. So if you try to leave a space, later on you will see that you will have more than expected spaces, okay? Okay, so you have students plus lecturers. I know the brackets are not needed, but it makes your code easier to read. Right, and you'll find that if you run this, you have a lot of spaces. So later on, we need to get rid of the spaces, right? You can see that too much space. Okay, too much space. Okay, due to the commas here, right? So commas will automatically give you one extra space. So if I delete one and then try to run it, you'll find that it looks correct. Okay, it looks correct, right? So again, this one we can reduce, and this one we can reduce. Right, so you have 31 people in the lecture hall. Okay, I think this one can pick away. In lecture hall 10. Right, okay, so that's the first way. The second way, you have seen it before, using plus to concatenate the strings. Okay, so we'll probably do the same, except that you need to add things. Okay, so now spaces will be taken as spaces, okay, because there won't be added spaces. So you need to give it a space. And because students plus lecturers is actually a number, okay, you will find that this one doesn't really work. Okay, let's try. Okay, this one will give you an error. You can see that it's already telling you there's an error. Okay, there are this, but you can only concatenate strings, not integers. So you need to convert this to a string. Okay, so you need to add in this. Okay, but when you run it, okay, it looks exactly the same. The good thing about the second format is that the spaces are taken as spaces. There's no surprises. Okay, here when you don't add in a space, you add in a space automatically for you. But what happens if you don't want the space? Then the first method isn't going to be very good, right? Because sometimes we do not want spaces. Okay, and when you put a comma, you are forced to have a space. Okay, you're forced to have a white space. Using concatenation through this way is a better deal because you can control. If I don't want the space, right, there won't be any spaces. Okay, sometimes you just want to control that way. Okay, okay, so the third way, so far okay, right? I think no problem with all this, huh? Any questions at this point of time? No? Okay, so the third way is the one that the school recommends. Okay, later on, I think there's a fourth way. Okay, so this is using formats to format the strings. So this is a better format. Okay, there are people in, yeah, so this is a better format. Okay, so the first curly brace will be students plus lecturers. The second curly brace will be the place. Okay, so this refers to this. This refers to the second one. But so far, they are all printing the right thing. Okay, just to show the differences, I call this 1, I call this 2, and I call this 3, right? So that you can tell the difference. Okay, so that's the school formatting. Okay, formatted printing. Okay, formatted printing. Okay, the other way is the way that I probably have shown you before. Okay, anyway, let's go through that, and that is to use the F format to format the strings. Okay, so this is the fourth one, but I think it's the one that I like most now. This is the fourth one, using the F format. Okay, and you put in this directly. Okay, you put in this directly. Right, so I'll encourage you to use either number 3 or number 4. Okay, personally, I use number 4. So which one do you prefer? 3, 4? Don't tell me one. 4. Yeah, okay, so 4 is good. Okay, but we still need to learn about number 3, right? Okay, we need to learn a bit about number 3 before we move on to the formatting itself. So let's go back to our slides. Let's go back to our slides. So this part here, we have, yeah, so we have the first using comma, second using plus, third using format, and there's no fourth one because it was not introduced here, which is the F format. Okay, the thing about format is that it's actually more flexible. You can put in this as inputs, no, the 3 inputs, as you can see that. Okay, the 3 inputs, you can see that. So this is the first input, position 0, second input, position 1, third input, position 2. Okay, you can swap them, so you can see that I can put position 2 first, followed by position 0, followed by position 1, and that will give you 3, 1, 2.0. Right? So if you have repeated formatting, then a dot format may make sense. Okay, so what do I mean by repeated formatting? Okay, let's take a look at one quick example, and then we will jump to the formatting we'll move on to how to format your strings in another way, right? Okay, so this one is all done. So I'm going to do a quick print, just to do that. Yeah, so that we have a border. Okay. Okay, so maybe 4. 3 is a bit too short. Okay, good. Okay, so the next one we are going to do is of course the format that we saw just now. Okay. Say for example you have lots to mention. Okay. And okay, let me see. Okay, so something like this, right? Okay, so let's do some formatting. Okay, I put it to the next line. So I could start off with Charlie Brown, then followed by Peanuts, followed by Linus. Right, so we know that actually this is position 0, this position 1, position 2. So if I want to put, I could put this as position 0, position 1, position 1, position 0, and then position 2. Okay, so in where you repeat, then the format will make sense. Okay, where you repeat, then you will see that, okay, I'm using Charlie Brown twice, I'm using Peanuts twice. Okay, then using this will make sense. Okay, otherwise, if it's short and sweet, you can stick to number 4. I think it's fine, it's good enough. Okay, all good. So if all good, then we'll continue. Yep. Okay, sure. Why is the format code not aligned with the print code above? You could, but then it to me is too long. You see that this vertical gray line over here is what we call suggested line not to exceed for printing purposes. Yeah. So I brought it over to the next line. Okay. And normally for standards, we propose not to go over the gray line also. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Let me know if you're done because I wouldn't know when you're done. Okay. Nikki, right? Yeah. Okay. What about the rest? Still need time or can we move on? Okay, so let's move on. Okay, I'm not going to show you every slides though. I'm not going to demo every slides though, but it's good to know certain things. Okay, so we were talking about the ordering. Okay, sometimes you want to print in a specific format, especially for floating numbers. Okay, we did not actually for D is just a number. Okay, F is a floating number with a decimal format. E is a floating number with an exponential format like this. Okay, string of course is S. Okay, so you can see D will give you just one number, right? F will give you multiple decimals. E is exponential format. Okay, so here he puts all as 3, right? And here he puts this argument, first one here. So 1, 1. So that's why it's 1, 1, position 0, position 0, and position 1, right? So this is actually 2, say not 2.00. Okay, later on I'll show you how to use it together with the F format. Okay, so if you find F format confusing, let me know. Then I'll just stick to this format. But this one, I think F format is actually easier to understand. Right, so he has a row. Row equals to this string over here, right? And then he puts in the he puts in equal what do you mean by the format is the indication of what structure it is in. The format is just to make your printing easier. There's actually no difference in between the two. Yeah, it's just that when you use F format, to me it's easier to read. Yeah, so what structure you're talking about, I'm not too sure what you're indicating. All right, okay. So, right, so if you have multiple variables like this, you can use the same for row again and again. It makes sense if you use it this way. Okay, if you use it this way, it makes sense. Okay, then your oranges will go to row, the first column, your 10 will go to the second column, your this one will go to the third column. Pairs, the first column, this one will go to the second column, and that will go to the third column. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure whether I've answered your question. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so the equal times 40 gives you this as 40 equals, right? Okay, then there's one equal caret 40. This means that you will have 40 and then you're formatting these cells in the middle. Okay, it's just a formatting tool, right? So formats can be saved because they are just strings. Width of the print area can be set. Okay, they can also be fractional part of floats, and you can specify the alignment within the print area. Okay, so we will play around with the print area printing later on. Okay, so you can see there's multiple formats. Okay, multiple formats over here. So when you try this one will be right in the center. Okay, so when you try this, okay, let's try this. Let's try copy this and okay, let's try all these. Let's try to paste all these first. Okay, into our PyCharm. Okay, so if we run this, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so when you have this caret means the word is in the center. The word is in the center. 12 characters. Fill up the rest with a hyphen or minus in this case. Okay, so that means this particular string is 12 characters long. The word will be in the center, and the rest will be filled up by minus. Okay, the rest will be filled up by minus. Any questions? No? Okay, the next one. Okay, again, when you see this, we know it's in the center. Okay. Now you are specifying, you're not hard coding the minus, but you are putting the minus over here. Okay, so you should produce you the same result. Okay, it's exactly the same as the top because now you're replacing this with this. Okay, you're replacing this with this instead of hard coding the minus. Okay, okay, again it reads the string is 12. It's actually 12 spaces wide. Okay, your string will be in the center and the rest will be filled up by argument number 1, which is your minus. Okay, so if you change this to plus, then you should show you plus. Right? Okay, so I'm going to paste the rest over here. This one is pretty straightforward. This one is to the left and this one is to the right. Okay, so the string will go to the left, this one will go to the right, all the rest fill up with hyphen. Right, so this one will go to the left, this one will go to the right. Okay, and then rest will be filled up by hyphen because this is the argument you specify. Okay, of course you can add other stuff. No, if you do not like this, you can put star. The other one you can put O. No, it's perfectly fine. No, perfectly fine. So far okay, huh? No question, right? Okay, the last one will be this. When you do this, you are naming n equals to 3 and s equals to string. So of course, I can give you a bigger name. No, I can call this a number, and this I call it a string. So you can understand a bit better that this is a variable and this is a variable. So far, okay? Good? Any questions? No? Any questions? Oh, all busy typing out. Okay. Because I will show you one more example using the F format. Okay. I'll just show you one more example using the F format. You can apply back to all these. Okay. Yeah, let me know if I'm going a bit too fast, because yeah. Okay. Let me know if I'm going a bit too fast. I can always slow down a bit. Okay, let me know if you're done. Then I will move on to the F format. Okay. Okay. Anybody not done? Okay, never mind. I will start from here. Okay. Any protest, let me know now. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm going a bit too fast. If I'm going a bit too fast, it's because I just watched the Top Gun show. Everything's very fast. Everything is nice. Okay. Okay. So right. Let's say, for example, if I want to print it in a nice formatted, okay, manner, just like this. Okay. Normally, we will have you when you use the F format, it's because you have the variables. Okay. But of course, you can do it the same way. It's not that we can't. We can do it the same way, but it doesn't really make sense, right? So if I'm going to put name or maybe phrase, Charlie Brown is never gives up. Okay. Okay, and then we put the pattern as, say, for example, a star, okay, a simple star, maybe not star, using equal, using equal, right? So we want to format something like this. We can print F, okay, then we put in the phrase, we put in I think the second pattern may not be able to work. Let me see. Pattern caret 50. Oh yeah, it does work. Okay, it looks a bit more confusing than this. Okay. Maybe this pattern, I'll change this to O percentage. Yeah, so Charlie Brown never gives up. Okay, so the left-hand side is not your 0, but the direct phrase. This is no longer your 1. This is the pattern I put here. Okay, and of course, your 50 is the length over here. Right? So that's how it works. Of course, if I want to, okay, so it depends on whether you want to use this or you want to use this, right? Many a times, I don't think we will use such patterns anyway. Okay, so which one do you prefer? I think in this case, the ones at the top looks cleaner. Okay, the one at the top looks actually cleaner. But I still prefer to use the F string. Matter of preference now. The F string is, I don't have to use dot format. Okay, so which one is better? No, there's no better now. It really depends. Will the mark be star? What do you mean by that?
So what I mean is, will the marks be given differently if we use, let's say, the F format, because it could be a bit more complex, or maybe if we use the top one, it's cleaner, so the marks will be given differently.
Not in this case. Not in this case. Only if your code looks overly complicated, then there might be slight differences in marks. But then, not in this case. This F and yeah will be more or less the same.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So shall we continue? Any questions? If not, I will continue. Yep. No? Is Rachel trying to say something? No? None at all? Okay, good. Okay, no questions. We'll move on to our first input using the keyboard input. Okay, so we have looked at the previous formatting. Okay, I won't say skip, but I'm not going to demonstrate all this. I'm just going to go to the preferred one, okay? And then demo the preferred one. Okay. Okay, so you could have print, enter your name, right? And then put n equals to nothing. And n equals nothing means that do not have remove new line. Okay, so when you say name equals to input, then you'll be asked to enter on the same line. If you do not put the N, it will move to the next line. Okay, you move to the next line. Then it says print hello, okay, format name, right? So it reads your name. After that, it says hello, comma, and whatever name you type in. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, look at the second way he did it. Okay, this is the preferred way. Of course, I will use a F string instead. Okay, instead of using dot format. The name equals to input your name, print hello braces dot format name. Okay, so this is cleaner because I don't have to put the print statement and the input statement separately, right? I simply put in both of them together. So this one is the preferred way to do that. Okay, and then you print on the next line. Okay, very simple, very nice. I think easily understood. Okay, the third one, you try to be a show off already, whereby you try to put everything in one line. It works, but very messy. Okay, it works because but it's very messy because you are trying to ask the user for inputs before the input, your input is converted to a string. Okay, write in a string and then put here. Okay. Again, it will work, but it is too messy. Okay, so the preferred way is the second way. Short and sweet, easy to read. Okay, you know that this is input, this is print. Okay, perfect. Okay, don't try to be a show off to put everything together. Okay, your purpose is to make the program readable, easy to read. Okay, easy for you to maintain. Okay, not to boast to people that I can code much better than you, or I can code in a much more sophisticated manner. Okay, so that's not the way to do things. Okay, eventually, after that, when you revisit a program, you have a problem understanding it yourself. Right, so you could actually ask when you put in an input, okay, the input will always take in a string. The input will always take in a string. So when you try to perform a number minus a string, it will give you an error. It says that unsupported operand for integer and string for this particular minus operation. You're trying to minus integer minus string. You're trying to minus a string from the integer, okay, which is unsupported, okay, which is unsupported because Python doesn't know how to interpret that. So in this case here, we know that the input always creates a string. So we should cast it to an integer. Okay, we should actually cast it to an integer before we use the before we do this, right? Okay, well, although this is working, normally I like to put most of the things in variables. It's easier to read. Okay, it's actually easier to read. Okay, so let's quickly go to our PyCharm again. Okay, just to practice on this. Okay, so this one will be input examples. Right, so I'm just going to focus on the correct one. So I'm going to use H. Right, our H. You look at his example. He is converting inside the print statement. Okay, I will simply convert it right here. Right, so do the conversion over here. Okay, So we will say vintage year. Right. You may question the need for extra steps, but it probably makes your code easier to understand. Okay. Right. So if I key in, say my age is 23, 1999 was a vintage year. Right. Okay, so I'm doing this, in several steps instead of 2 steps, because ultimately the code is easier to read. It may be longer, but it's clearer. Okay, it's longer, but it's clearer. All right with that? Oh, well, you can, but I said try to avoid the plus. Because why not just use a F format? Yeah, cleaner. I mean, you try to use the plus. I'm not against it, but later on, when you have more variables, it's going to get messy. If it's only one variable like yours is fine, just one is fine, okay? But if you have multiple variables, it's going to get messy. All right, any questions? All okay? Okay, so ready to move on to file I/O. Okay, so let's move on to file I/O. Right. So for file I/O, let me see. I just want to make sure that okay, they don't have that. Okay, good. Okay, so in the data in your files, okay, okay, no matter what your program is doing, ultimately you will hold information, store information in files. Okay, so this data must be stored in files somehow or another. Okay, and whether it's a database, databases are actually using files. Okay, whether you are storing in a cloud is actually using the backend is still servers, and their servers are actually hosting files, right? So permanently, all this information must be stored inside the files, and these files will be stored in your hard disk or your SSD. Okay, so if we need to save information, we need to put them in files, right? So we will use the file I/O in Python. Okay, and just a few notation to note. No, there's a standard in, which means the file or the keyboard. Standard out, which refers to the screen or the file, and then standard error, which refers to the error messages. Okay, but of course, we will have our own way of coding that in Python, not like the C language. Right, so this is an example of a file. I believe that most of you are familiar with files. It's a text file, pg120.txt. So as contents, as you can see over there, the project Gutenberg ebook of Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Okay, you can read the rest of it yourself. Okay, all these files are actually, the file contents is basically text. Okay, so, but you also need to remember that computers are binary systems, and hence text files are really binary sequences encoded by ASCII table. Okay. Okay, the extension, whether it's a text extension or whether it's a CSV extension or whether it's some other extensions, it is to hint to you that the file contains a certain content. Okay, but if you give it the extension but the file contents is wrong, it will not display correctly. Like for example, if you name your text file a JPEG file, JPG, then the image program will try to open the file, the text file as an image file, and that will not display correctly. Okay, so the extensions, just to give you a hint, it does not affect the content type of the file. So the type of file, no, it's not affected by the extension. The extension is just to tell the system which program you should use to open this type of file. Okay, but the contents are not affected. Okay, so even if you try to name your text file Excel file, okay, it does not open. If you try to name your text file a JPG file, it does not open. Okay, because you're using the wrong program to open. Okay, it's just a hint. Right, so our first job, of course, is to focus on only text files. We are not going to use any binary. Okay, we're going to read from a file, and then we will try to open from the file and then try to read from the file. Okay, so you can see that in order to open a file, we can have book equals to open read. Okay, with a read permission. Okay, so these are read modes. Write mode, append mode, read and write. Okay, so if you want to make things simple, just use the first three modes. RWA. Okay, forget about the R plus. Okay, forget about the R plus. Okay, you need a variable to hold on to the open file object. So you need a file object. Okay, if you do not point to the file object, it will close automatically. Okay, the file object does not contain the file contents. It's just to allow you to read the contents of the file. So you use a file object to represent the file, and then you can use the file object to access the contents of the file. Okay, when you delete the object, the file is not deleted. It's just that the Python object is deleted. Okay, so this file object is just to use to access the file. Okay, it's not the physical file itself. Okay, so when you open the book, you can read a line, you can print the line. Okay, so you can see that you open this book. By default, if you don't provide any modes, it will be read. If you provide read, it will still be read. Okay, so the default mode is actually read. So now you say dot read line, this is reading a line. Print line, this, okay, when you read a line, you need to return the single line to a variable. So you need to print, and then after that, you can print the variable, you'll print you the first line. Okay, you'll print you the first line. After reading the first line, the file object will remember where you read the file until. Okay, so if you read until the 5th line and there's 100 lines left, it will remember that you read the first 5 lines. Okay, so you will remember how many lines you actually read or how many characters you actually read. right? So if there's only one line in the file, after printing the first line, which has the contents, the second line will not produce anything. The third line will not produce anything. Okay, the tell method gives us the position in the file we are reading from, like the number of characters, no? So it tell you how, whether you have read anything. So if you open the file in the first place and you say book.tell, you print you 0, that means you have read 0 characters in the first place. Okay. When you read the first line, then you say book.tell, it will tell you how many characters you have read in that particular line, which is 75 characters. Okay, 75 characters in this case. Okay, you can attempt to seek, meaning that you can jump, okay, jump to that position. Okay, okay, jump to the position. So this one is you are trying to jump to position number 4. Okay, the original text is the project Gutenberg, right? But when you jump to position number 4, you'll skip the 0, 1, 2, 3. So you start from P, right? So when you seek 4, it starts from P. So therefore, it prints Project Gutenberg ebook of Treasure Island. Okay, so we have touched on opening a file. Okay, we touch on how to read a single line. We touch on how to move to a certain position, which is using seek. You can use a tell to tell you how many characters you have read. Okay, how many characters you read. Okay, so let's put that into practice now. So I'm going to close all this. File example. Okay, I'm going to add in a text file. I call it story.txt. Okay, I'm going to paste a sample story. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to have 4 lines over here, right? 4 lines over here. Maybe I'll add in a few white lines in between. Right, so this is the Alibaba story. Okay, you can paste in anything that you want. So we're going to start off with reading the file. Okay, we start off with opening the file. Normally, I like to call it in file because it's an input file. How do you open the file? Okay, right click, new file. right? And then you can call it my file.text. Is that what you mean? To create a new file? Yeah. Okay, after that, you can I paste the story in the text? I paste it here. Are you sure you can copy? I don't think you can copy, right? I don't think you can copy. Not that I know of. Can? No way. I cannot copy. How come you can copy? Can eh? Oh gosh. Huh? Okay. Sometimes cannot copy, you know. Okay, so okay, can now copy already, your story. Happy, right? Okay, so we're going to open the file. Okay, so we start off with in file. Okay, or you want to call it input file also can, but file in file is good enough. Okay, in file means input file. Okay, so you will know there is something that you read in. Okay, so that's called in file. Okay, and then you put in the read. Yeah, so this is the read. Okay. Right. So what's not mentioned later on, but I think it's important, is that you should always close the file. Okay. Close the file after use. Okay. So let's open the file for reading. Right. So we could read the first line. Okay. So we can simply, we can print current characters read. Zero. Okay. So that's the tail part. Okay. We could then after that read the first line. Oops, I pressed wrongly. Yeah, but it's the same. Okay, so we managed to open the file and read the first line. So far, okay? Any questions here? All okay? Still copying, huh? If you use the code on line 6 now, it will show 1. Not too sure what you mean by it will show 1. It's showing this, right? What do you mean by use the code on line 6? Using the code on line 6 is just to read in. You're saying reading again. If you use the code again after reading the first line, am I right to say that? No, you will depend on how many characters read. Okay. $94. Right, it reads 94. So, all right. Okay, I'm going to continue with the second, third, and fourth line. Okay. Just to show that second and third line actually blank, and the third, fourth line has something, right? So we have second line equals to infile.read line, read another line. Okay. Third line, read, okay, which is the second line, and this one is the third line, and then this is the fourth line. Okay, so basically it's just to show you that it remembers. So you read the second line as a blank, the third line as a blank, and the fourth line as after their father's death, right? Kasim marries a wealthy woman and becomes well-to-do. Okay, so let's try to print that. Right, so if you print now, you should be able to see that the second line and third line are actually blank, okay? And the fourth line, there's this line over here. Okay, of course, if you try to print the tail again, then it will show you probably 100 over characters. Right? Oh, okay. So far, okay, right? Not too difficult, right? Any questions? Oh, okay. All good. Okay, huh? Your first line is weird. Yes, yes, there will be break time after we finish this. Yeah, we'll break. Definitely break. Cannot be four full 4-hour lessons. Lesson itself. Current character rate after the first line will be this. Maybe you show me what you are doing. I stop. Okay, and let you take over. Okay. Okay, you can share the screen. First line equals to read first line. Current character read after reading the first line. Can you take a look at the story.text? Go to the end of line 1. Okay, so there is nothing. Then it shows you current character read after this is such a long number. Take a look at the code again. I don't think it's a problem. Anybody can figure out. Doesn't seem to be a problem. Your code looks correct. Hmm? Hmm. This one is the function. Not too sure what's happening, but the code is correct. The code looks correct. Go to the story.text. Will be some errors they detected. Okay, you backspace the dot. No, backspace the dot for backspace the dot. Press the dot. Okay, press dot. Okay, press enter and press enter. Okay, enter. Enter again. Okay, go to line 5 and 4. No, go to line 5 and 4. 6 and 5 now. Okay. Go to line 6. Okay, line 7, left hand. Line 7 in front of the A. Backspace. 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 Okay, save it. Shift enter. What's the purpose of shift enter? Or don't use shift enter. Go to file.py, file example.py and try to run again. Yeah. Okay. Now you get it. Okay. Now, right. I know the reason why. The question is, why do not use shift enter? I'm also learning something. What's your shift enter for? Do not use shift enter. Do not use control enter for second and third line. Okay. Okay, the error is because of shift enter use. What does did Denise use shift enter? No, right? Okay. Do not use control enter. I also don't think you use control enter. I can only tell you, yeah, you just have to backspace because your system is on you're on Windows. My system is Mac. Okay. So therefore, when I copy the text over, it includes the new line for Mac, which is compatible with Windows. So that's why I asked her to go and delete the new line over there. Because when it starts to read and then it read the new line, it reads it as an error. When you see such a big number, it means it's an error. Yeah. So that's why I asked her to delete the last two lines. As in line 2 and line 3. Okay. So you can do the same, it will work. So Nikki, just try that. All right. So let's just try. U backspace and save. You want to share your screen so I can direct you and then see what happens. Yeah, quick one. I think everybody's hungering for a break soon. Okay, so if you go to the story.txt, okay, yep, press that. Okay, go to backspace full stop. Backspace the full stop for line number 1 first. Press a dot, press enter. Press enter. Okay, then backspace. Okay, backspace all the way until the merchant dot, until the full stop there. Backspace. Okay, backspace even a dot. Yeah, backspace. Press the dot. Enter 2 times. Okay, save it. Just no need to save as, just save. Yeah, it exists already. You can just press Ctrl S and it will save. Just press Ctrl S. Yeah, it should save. Okay, it should work. I think your file is not saved properly. Go to the okay, backspace 8 and 7 as well. 8, 7, backspace the dot, then press the full stop again. Okay. Okay, do that for line number 5 as well. Backspace the full stop, press the full stop. Yeah. The line number 5 after, no. Yeah, okay. Backspace also, comma, press enter. Okay, for the, yeah, Ali also, backspace, dot, okay, press enter. Okay, should have the same thing, but I'm not sure whether your file is saved. That's the problem. But now it's working. It's all because of incompatibility between the file. Okay, incompatibility within the file. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about the last part, then we will break. Okay. Okay, so we have mostly discussed about this. Okay. And I think we have completed most of the file input. Okay. So let's try to do writing. Okay, let's just try to do writing. Okay. So for the case here, I could this one I'm going to close it. Okay. So I'm going to create one more file just for writing. Okay, so this one I'll just call this my diary.txt. Okay, I call it diary.txt. So my entry number 1, totally nothing. Okay, totally nothing. Okay, so now I'm going to open the file. No, okay, I'm going to add in my first entry. You just need to add in a few lines, right? So I could do like, for example, today oh, this is py, sorry, throw away. Delete. Yes. New file diary.txt. Okay. So maybe we add in some entries. Okay, so let's say, for example, today I met a handsome Labrador, okay, in the park. Okay, so now I want to own a Labrador. Okay, so maybe another entry is I saw an eagle swooping down on a pigeon. Okay, and the third entry will be I saw some kids running cross country today. Okay, just entry. Okay, so let's say we are going to read this. Okay, the example will be we are going to simply print all the contents. After that, we are going to add in a new content. Okay, right. So very simple one that will take care of our example. So this is our diary. Okay, app. Okay, we just call it diary app. Okay, so we're going to open a file first. Read all the lines. Right, so you can see that I print all them. Okay, so I could say that and then we ask a simple thing. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so when you run it, this is your diary entry so far. Today I met a handsome Labrador, blah, 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 blah. Okay, sorry, I forgot one thing. Let me just stop this. I forgot to close the file after use. Right? So after getting the new entry, we will try to write to a file. Okay, we try to append the file, right? So you can see I purposely open the file, close the file. Okay, otherwise I will just show you the simple one, which is the the writing of file, okay? But that's not what I want, okay? So out file equals to open the diary. For the slides example is to show write. When you do write, this means to overwrite the entire file. Okay, this is to write the entire file, but we do not want that. Okay, so this one I will just comment it. I'll use append. Okay, this one will add new line or lines to the existing contents. Okay, so this is what we are doing, because diary, you do not want to get rid of your previous entries, right? Okay, so we will write dot write new entry. Okay, let's see whether it's working. I think there will be a problem. Close the file after use. Okay, so you can see that open for reading, ask user, append, close the file, run it. Gosh, I forgot the spaces. Okay. Right, so I've said this. Okay, let's see the diary.txt. Oh gosh, see, I appended to the back. Okay, and there's no new line. So it tells us one thing. Okay, we should begin from here. And then whenever we append, we must add this with a new line. Okay, add this with a new line. Okay, so let's try again. Okay, yeah, so I went on to the next line. Okay, so if I run it again, I should see 4 lines. Okay. Right, so again, okay, it's working fine. Okay, you can see that's actually working fine. Okay, right. So a very simple example with both read and write capabilities. Okay, I don't use the R plus because what happens if if there's a lot of entries, okay, R plus will keep the file open, but then you are going to have a problem if you keep the file open for a long time. It wastes resources. Number one, later on, if there's a problem with the code and the thing just terminate halfway, the contents will be haywire, sometimes. So I don't use R plus. I don't keep the file open. I will just open a file for reading, append, then open another file for writing. Okay, open using another time for writing. Okay, so every time you open and close, although it's a couple of lines, it's actually very fast action. So you don't have to worry, that the thing will remain open for a long time. It's actually very short. Okay. Right, any questions over here? I think we have done quite a bit, and we are done with the file inputs already. Any questions? All good? No, guys, time for a break soon. What do you mean by where do I get? This is what I type. Yeah, breaking already. I'm going to do a break time, but asking whether everybody's okay. Okay, you try to resolve. We come back for after the break. Is it fine? Yeah, okay. So let's take a break. How long do you need? What would be a good break time for you? 10, 15? Which one? 15, huh? Okay, so let's come back, okay? In 15 minutes time. new entry on diary.text. Give me a moment. Do you follow this? I am not sure whether you put in the A, whether you close the file. You need to close the file. You need to close this file. You need to close this file. Okay, let's do a quick one. Not much time left. Yeah, I can share the screen. Yeah, so did you enter anything? You need to enter your new entry. Type something. Must press enter. And then save, it's saved already.